what I was saying was, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Friday. Thank you for bearing with us through a few technical glitches. And we're apparently still having a couple of them, but that's okay. Because, you know, it's 2020 and technical glitch is the theme for the year. So welcome to the live stream for Friday, September 11th. Today's topic will be video recording and editing and publishing with Screencastify. So before we get started, we'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the day. It's a significant day 19 years ago, a national tragedy. Just going to pause for a second and also remind you that in the EdTech Weekly this week, there were some lessons made for you that you could use today if you wanted, or maybe moving forward. Okay, so moving forward, as we say every week, please send all your help requests to edtech@alisal.org. It goes to the entire department, so that way it's not languishing in any one person's inbox in case we happen to be away from our inbox for a little bit of time. Also, as a reminder, the Remote Instruction Parent Academy is live. And we know that not all of our parents necessarily check their email. We will be promoting it on the district Facebook and hopefully on district Twitter and the website. But it also helps if you, because we know or we hope that you are all the best and main point of contact with our parents when they are having certain problems. We would really appreciate it if you would send them to remoteinstruction.org and direct them to the Parent Academy. If you go there yourself and see what sort of things that we teach parents how to do there, I can help you direct them to the right place. And also the edtech@alisal.org email is there for them, as well as the IT helpline. So looking forward, almost exactly a month from today is Alisal Technology Conference. So we will once again be having the Alisal Technology Conference. It will be on Monday, October 12th. We are still having it this year, but we will obviously be having it as a virtual edition. We're pretty sure that the theme for this year is going to go along the lines of Wreck-It Ralph. In a chat with the EdTech liaisons yesterday, they were talking about how sometimes it kind of feels like this is the theme for our year. Alisal breaks the internet. Whoops. So just a reminder that we will be, if you are a former presenter, there will be some changes. If you went to the K2 Can2 virtual conference, which about 120 of our teachers did, teachers, coaches, paraprofessionals, it will follow that format. So there will be a couple changes for presenters. There will be a digital schedule rolled out. If you are a past presenter, you should be expecting an email today by 5 o'clock. And then for people interested in presenting, you can email edtech@alisal.org. There will also be a broad sort of email that goes to everybody who's interested in presenting. And then I think we'll do a presenters orientation next week as a Google Meet sometime. And it's important even if you've presented before, because there will be changes to the format and there will definitely be structural changes in how things are set up. We're hoping to make that as seamless as possible for the presenters, and definitely a day of value, as you generally tell us Alisal Technology Conference is. So those are the ends of the announcements, and now we will go to Celia and George, who will be presenting video recording, editing, and publishing with Screencastify. So whenever you are ready, you guys go ahead and take over.
All right. Thank you, Josh. Welcome, everybody. We wanted to go ahead and start with this topic because this is the #1 topic that you told us you wanted, and you've seen some changes that we made based on your feedback, and we hope that you continue giving us that feedback, and we will keep making adjustments as as we can. But hopefully with that, we'll go ahead and get started. You wanted to know a little bit more, actually a little bit more about video recording, editing, and publishing. And we thought that why not use our tool, the tool that we have here in our district, which is Screencastify. So if you want access to the slide deck, here is the bit.ly. You may want to go ahead and type it in, bookmark it, pin it, whatever you do so you have access to it again. I'm going to leave it up for a few more seconds. We will be taking questions at the end. We feel that this next, 55 minutes is going to be pretty packed. So we will probably not have time to repeat things again. I know that sometimes we do show you things, how to do things again, and that's really helpful to some of you, but that takes time. Remember, these are being recorded, so you can always go to our remote instruction website and watch them at your leisure, repeat, speed it up, whatever you would like. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to go ahead and cover our first section on here, which is recording in Screencastify. And we know that some of these, you may already know some of these things, but believe it or not, even for me, as we were going through this, I learned something new that I didn't know. So hopefully you will get something out of this too. With recording, we're going to go ahead and talk about the tools on here. And, here you want to make sure that when you first start off, of course, you'll get all the privacy settings, information, and permissions. But then you have the tools on here. And you have a lot of options on here, being able to turn on the microphone, the webcam, countdown. That way this gives you a little bit of time from turning on the recording to actually starting the presentation that you want to record. You have toolbar options down here. And, of course, very important, we'll talk more about this, if you are looking to record with audio or animation, you want to make sure that you use the tab option on here. So these are the different ways that you can record, and these are the options for the browser tab. So right now we are in the browser tab, as you can see here. Let's look on what it looks like, what options you have, or what you can do with the desktop option on here. Whoops, did I already skip that? Sorry, before we go on to that point I want to talk about why, what are the benefits of this? Well, this allows you to very easily switch among tabs and in your browser tab. So that you want to use that. This is also beneficial if you only want to record what you are presenting. So I know that some of you have asked about, I don't want to record my students for privacy issues. Well, if you use the tab record, you can record just the presentation of your synchronous learning that's taking place. So you would use the tab browse here. And as I already stated, if you want to stream, if you're going to show like a video that has audio, maybe you're going to show the students a YouTube video, they will not be able to hear your audio unless you are using the Browse tab. So hopefully that'll, that gives you a little bit clear as to when you can use the Browse tab and when you should use it. And remember, all these options on here you can change when you are using the Browse tab. The second way you can record is the desktop. So the benefits of a desktop is that this allows you to record multiple screens. If you're switching multiple screens or desktops like I usually do, this is the way that I record on there. And one thing that why I like using multiple desktops is because it actually allows you to zoom in. So so you've seen before in my I'm not using this feature right now actually, but you've seen me before when I zoom into a certain portion of the screen. That is built into Mac OS, and using the desktop one will actually zoom in so the students can see better what you're trying to show them. So really good if you have a small text that you want your students to be able to see, or small details. Remember that when you are using this option on here, you will be missing the tab audio option. So again, the students will not be able to hear what you are streaming to them with audio if you use this option. That's why that's missing. But you do have some other options on here that you can change. Finally, we have the webcam. So the webcam, you would want to use the webcam when you just want to record yourself. Some ideas when you would want to use the webcam. Probably if you are doing a read out loud, if you're doing maybe a morning announcement where you want the student to see your face, or perhaps you just want to. So you would want to use this when you just want them to see your face, and they can see. It'll use the camera. So not necessarily when you are presenting. And once again, remember that remember that you miss, if you use this option, you miss not only the audio tabs, but also the tools. Those are missing. You don't have access to those tools when you use the webcam only. So those are the three main choices that you can use to record in Screencastify. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit now about the toolbar. Okay. So to bring up the toolbar, you will see it once you start recording. You will see it on the bottom left-hand corner. Of course, we have pause here. We have the cursor option. So if you want to go back to the pointer, you have the pen. So this allows you to annotate on the screen, to write over the screen as so if you have like a presentation, you can actually write over that and annotate on there. And you have an eraser, of course. And if you want to, let's say you started your recording with the webcam on, you can disable it here. And if you didn't turn on, you can enable it here also. So you have these options down here in the bottom toolbar. And the X, of course, just hides these toolbars or minimizes them. So those are the tools that will appear when you have the toolbar open on here. And Celia has added this great. If you love shortcuts, I'm not so good at it, but Celia loves shortcuts. And if you want a detailed list of a lot of possible shortcuts, go ahead and click on here on the presentation, and you will have access to that little cheat sheet of shortcuts for those of you that work that way. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the settings. The settings, remember, look for a cog, a wrench, or 3 dots, or pancakes, whatever you want to call them. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the cog because we have some settings here that you can adjust. And this, to me, kind of, believe it or not, I know I've been doing this for a while, but this kind of just blew my mind. I didn't know that if you click there, I had clicked on it before, and I had seen this screen here. But I didn't realize that if I actually click on each of these items, I can adjust them. I just figured that that's just the default, and that's how it records, but you actually have control over each of these. So you can resize the aspect ratio, and the resolution. And there's some hints on, there's just some tips on here that, of course, the higher the resolution, the more memory it takes, the higher bandwidth, slower uploads, and so forth. So take a look at these things that are italicized, because you should think about those when you're adjusting these settings. The frame rate, you can adjust the frame rate from 1 to 60 frames per second, and by default it's set as 30. I did want to share with you that I believe there's been studies, and anything above 24 frames per second, the human eye really has a hard time detecting it. So you really don't need anything more than 30 frames per second. But if you turn it down really low, then it'll be choppy, as you can see here. Finally, if you want to set a timer so that your recording stops, you can do that. So if you want to stop after 5 minutes of your recording or 2 minutes of your recording, you can set that to 2 minutes, and or adjust that to however you want and for your purpose. So hopefully, again, this for me, I didn't even know I could click on these. So once you click on them, you'll have options. So hopefully you'll try some of those things and see if that'll help you, when you are creating or recording your videos. And with that, that's the recording piece. We're going to get to, which probably most of you have done. Now we're going to get to the editing piece, which Celia will take over and cover this section. So Celia, you want to take over here?
Perfect. So we're going to give you some tips on editing, and there are a lot of features in Screencastify to do some basic editing. And like George mentioned, we were using the feedback from the form that we sent out. And we're hoping that this is a good beginning part to editing. And there were a lot of people who mentioned video editing. But if there's anything more specific, or people are feeling like they need something different than what's introduced here, please let us know. We're definitely open to hearing the feedback. And so we hope that at least this just gets the ball rolling. And if there are any additional needs, just let us know, and we'll definitely maybe have like a follow-up session or a more advanced session, just depending on like what specific needs in terms of video editing we may need. And so, like we said, the good thing about Screencastify is that it has a video editor built into this. And since we have the premium Screencastify, it's available to us. And so in case you haven't actually been to the video editor, when you click on the extension, you get this little window, right, where you can select all the options that George just mentioned for recording. But if you click on the pancakes, as you can see here, you're going to get to this. And I want to call attention to one of the options that says editor. And so this is one way to get to the video editor. Go to the pancakes, then click on editor. Once you're inside of the editor, well, actually, another quick note that there's another way to get to the editor. So like one way is through the pancake stack, but after you're done recording, you would get a screen that looks like this, right? That gives you like a little preview of what you just finished recording. It gives you options over here for sharing. But there's also a button up at the top where you can click on open editor. So you can go from the pancake stack or you can go from the actual recording to open in editor. So either of those ways would work. So once you're inside of the editor, this is the interface. And it's pretty simple. If you have any experience with any other video editors, it has a lot of the same features. And it is fairly simple to use, which I appreciate. But here's a general overview of what the actual interface looks like. And so there's an undo and redo buttons up here at the top. Once you're done with all the editing that you're going to do, you also have an export button up at the top. If you need to add a video, there's a blue plus sign, which we will also describe how to use in a short minute. There's a timeline zoom, and the timeline is this bar down here at the bottom. And so it's where your video will appear once you're working on it and you're editing it. But if you need to see that video in more detail, you want to zoom into the timeline. And again, we'll demonstrate this with some of the features, but this is a timeline zoom. If I want to see what's happening down here in my timeline in my video more closely and make more detailed edits, I would zoom into the timeline here. The tools that we're going to talk about for editing are all on the bottom left corner. So all these tools, we're going to describe what they do for you. And the timeline we've already mentioned. So that's kind of the general outline of what to expect. And so the first thing we're going to talk about in terms of editing is trimming. There are a couple of different ways to do the trimming. Once you record whatever it is you're recording, this GIF shows you probably the easiest way to do a trim. Again, once you're finished with the recording, you get to this landing page, right, where it shows you a preview of what you've just recorded. And in order to trim a video that you just finished recording, you're going to get to this page where, again, remember, you could open it in the editor. The button's going to be up there. But the simpler way is to use the scissors on either side to cut either the beginning or the end. So if at the beginning of the recording, you're pulling up your slides and it takes like a minute to wait for your students to come in or to get set up and you want to cut that out, you just click on the scissors, drag them to wherever you want to start. And if you need to, you don't have to, but if you need to, you can do the same thing with the end. If at the end there was some extra space or some students stayed back and like it wasn't something that warrants recording, then you can trim the end as well. And the only thing you're going to have to do after dragging the beginning or the end is to click Save Trim. So again, it's pretty simple. Drag 1, 2, and then click Save Trim, and you've trimmed. So that's one way and probably the easiest way. The other way to do it is if you're inside of the video editor. So again, this is, the video editor. You get all the interface that we just talked about, undo, redo, export, the timeline zoom, the timeline, the tools down here. And so we're going to call attention to the first tool, which are these little scissors here. So if you're inside of the video editor, there are 2 steps to cutting or trimming a clip. The first step is to click where in the video you want to cut. And so if I wanted to split this video in 2, first step is going to be just to simply click. So if I want to cut here, I'm just going to click on the timeline here and click the scissors. So you're essentially just taking the scissors and cutting right there. And it's going to cut the entire video into 2 pieces right here. That's it. From there, you can do other things with those 2 pieces of video, but we'll be showing you what those other options are. But if you're just trying to trim, just clip, clip, you're done. There's also this nifty feature that's called cropping. And so one of the tools is a little crop icon. And I am going to demo this live, but we put in these animated GIFs in the background just so you have a quick reference if you review the recording or the presentation later. But we will definitely show you some of these live. But it is, again, very simple to do some cropping. So you might need to crop a video, for example, if there's anything on the outer edges that you don't need and you just want to like save that space. So in this demonstration, we're clicking on the crop icon. You select with the crosshairs which part of the image or video you want to keep. You click done, and it crops out that extra space on the side. So maybe you like did a whole desktop recording, but you find that the presentation is smaller because it's recording like the toolbar on top, or you just have extra space like in this demonstration and you just want to get rid of it. That's fine. You can just use the crop tool to crop the extra space. And so just so you can see it again live, here's another little tidbit. You can go straight to edit.screencastify.com as well, and that will get you to the video editor. So again, it's just one of those things that you can do in multiple ways. I already have this video uploaded, and so again, here's the crop tool down here at the bottom. And so if I wanted to crop this video and I'm like, you know what, I don't need all this space down here at the bottom. I really just want to focus in on the top part. Again, you need to click on the video that you're trying to edit. Then I'm going to go up to the crop tool and I'm going to select, well, this part really is what I want to keep, and the rest is I want to crop out because I don't need all this extra stuff down here. So I've selected what I want to keep. Over on the right-hand side, there's a done button. So I'm going to apply those changes. And you see now my video has been cropped down here at the bottom. So it really is fairly simple. It's just a few steps. Click on the tool, do any adjustments, and make sure you either click out or click done if you're saving something. I think there are a couple more considerations that you can do for cropping or editing, sorry, but I'm going to turn it over back to George so he can give you some more tips on things you can do with editing.
All right, thank you, Celia. So as Celia was saying, we have these animated GIFs here for you, or GIFs, whatever you want to call them. I won't argue with you. Celia will, though. GIFs. One of the things that you can do is also you can add text on here, and I'm going to demonstrate it live also so you can see on there, but it's actually pretty simple. Once you have your video down here in the timeline, so you can see here's the timeline, you want to go ahead and select, click on where you want to add the text. So here's where I would want to add the text. You go ahead and you type the text as you're doing on here, and you know that the text is there because you will see the little red flag. So I want to go ahead and show you. See, this is where it's located, and this is for the portion of the video where you will see that text. So let me go ahead and show you how to do that live since we have it on here. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up a new tab and open up a new video that I have in my editor here. So I'm going to go to my recordings, and I'm just going to go ahead and pick any video. How about this one right here? All right, so I'm going to click open in editor because that's, we want to go ahead and add some text on here. It'll take a second to convert that, and I was supposed to say a joke, but the internet worked just the way it's supposed to, so it didn't take too long. Sorry, Celia.
Next time.
So again, you want to go here. I want to go ahead and show you something. So this allows me to adjust. You know, it doesn't increase the length of the video. It just shows more detail on there in case I want to select an area. So I want to go ahead and add some text here. So notice I can click there, and then I can click on the T for text. The box will pop up, and I can type whatever I want. Right, there you go. And I can go ahead and press enter. It will go ahead and add it. And here you can see now that it will display this. You can't really manipulate it very much more besides where it goes. It puts it in the middle of the screen, but it's going to play all the way through. When I play the video, it's going to play all the way to here. You can also readjust, you know, the text, how long you want it to display for. So by dragging it, I can also go ahead and move it to the left. So there, see, you can decide how long you want this to show up. I just want it to show up right there, so I would adjust it that way. But that's the way that you could add text to a recording that you have. And again, there's not a lot you can do, but you did see hopefully that you have some options on here, as in making bold, the font size, you know, how it's justified, and so forth. So there is other things that you can do here. Huge, right? So you can go ahead and change those things. But again, you don't get a lot of very fancy editing things, or being able to move it to different sections like you may have seen in other programs. So hopefully that was helpful. That live demo was helpful with regards to being able to add text to your videos. All right, let's go ahead and move along there. Importing videos, and I'm also going to go ahead and demonstrate this live. Actually, no, this one I won't demonstrate live because it's actually rather simple. If you want to import a video, you can import a video that has been recorded of a Google Meet. It could be a video that's that you record with some other program. It could be a video that is on your desktop that you recorded. So you can go ahead and import it into this editor. You press the little blue plus here, and then it'll give you options whether you want to look in your drive on your computer or where you want to get that from. So it's that simple, importing the videos so that you can go ahead and get ready to edit them. All right. This is where your videos will go once you add them. I want to go ahead and I want to go ahead and show you what happens on here. So this is where your videos will show up. Right now I don't have any videos, but after you added them, this is where the videos will show up. You can see here, this has actually 3 distinct clips or 3 distinct videos. 1, 2, 3. You can see the ones you know where they're at. If you ever see a yellow bar around it, that is usually the clip or the video that you have selected. So right now, out of these 3, this is the one that's selected. So be on the lookout for that. It's a little subtle thing that you may not notice. But what you want to do is merge videos here, and it works rather simple. So I'm actually going to show it to you live once again. So remember, here I have a video on here. So you could bring multiple videos in there. So I'm going to go ahead and add another video. Hit the plus. I'm going to get a video from my Google Drive. And I'm just going to click on videos up here because I can search my whole drive, or I can just go to videos. All right, let's go ahead. I don't know where these videos are coming from, but okay. I will go ahead and just click that one. Don't have no idea whose video it is, but there we go. It'll process it. And then what you will notice here is that you can go ahead and resize it on here. So let me make this. Remember, this is just allows you to see more or less detail on the timeline down here. So I'm just decreasing it so I can see it better. But I can go ahead and add multiple videos. And what I wanted to show you was I can change the order of them. So if I want this video to go second, I simply just drag it, right? If I want to go ahead in this video, I change my mind. This video, never mind, I want this video to be first. I just go ahead and click on it. And oops, sorry, not from the end there. Just want to go ahead and drag it to the left. I can see there, or the right. So I'm going to put it back to the way it was on here. Sorry about that, getting you dizzy. But there we go. And again, you can add another video. So click on here. And this time I'm going to go ahead. Do I have any on my desktop? I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and click another one. And again, you can go ahead and type on here, test. It'll find something that is a test on here. So merge. Here's the test project. Select. Again, I think it depends on the length of the video, how long it takes to process it and to bring it into the editor. So this video is a little bit longer, so obviously it's taking a little bit longer to do that.
Ooh,
time for a joke. Do you know what one magnet said to another magnet? I heard this yesterday. You're gonna have to wait for the answer later. All right, so obviously we are running into issues on here. I don't know, probably because I didn't select the right video, but that is how you can merge videos on you know, by bringing them in together. So there we go. There's the third video. So now I have here, as you can see here, I have 3 separate videos here. And again, I can change the order simply by dragging them. Okay. And when you export them, it will export them as one video. So I hope that helps you a little bit with being able to merge videos and rearrange them. The final piece on here was the zoom option, right, Celia? So what I can do here, and this is, I believe, is this a little bit related? This is a little bit related to what Celia was talking about earlier, where you can, let's see here. Let me see if I can make this bigger here, the timeline, because I'm just going to work on this one. Since this is my clip, I don't want to mess with somebody else's clip. So here's my clip on here that I added on here. So what you can do is you want to go ahead and click on, you want to go ahead and click on the timeline. Where do you want it? So here I'm clicking here. And then I want to go ahead and click on the zoom button, which is this little magnifying glass with a plus. And I can go ahead, and once I do that, I can decide what portion do I want to see. Not only can I move it around to different portions of my video, but I can also decide how much I want it to zoom in. So this will zoom in more if I do that piece there. So as you can see that, so it'll zoom in. And I want you to, down here at the bottom left corner, you can see that it's going to tell you what part of the video it's going to zoom in, and then when it's going to start the zoom in, and when it's going to stop the zoom, when the zoom's going to stop. So again, very cool tool that I didn't know kind of existed in Screencastify. So there we go. You would click what you want, and then you would click outside of there, and now it has it. You know, watch what happens here when I zoom in here. As I'm playing it, it zooms in right into that area. So that's how Zoom works.
George, how do you delete a clip? It's like you import it, but then, never mind, I changed my mind.
Wrong clip. So I'm going to click on this clip here. Remember, I have 3 clips on it, and I simply highlight it. Do you notice the yellow around it? I just go ahead and click delete, and it's gone. If I want to delete this one too, it's surrounded in yellow. Delete, it's gone. I'm back to just 1 clip. Thank you, Celia, for that addition. That must be a question that might have come in or that I forgot to mention. But Celia, I believe, oh, one more thing. Sorry, I'm kind of excited about this piece here, is just like all of our tools, you know, these companies keep making improvements, and we wanted to share with you that coming soon, I don't know what soon means, hopefully within the next month, you will be able to blur out sensitive sections. So if there's something, if you created a great video, but there's something that is maybe violating privacy, or you're concerned about, that you want to blur out, you will be able to do that pretty soon. So hopefully we will definitely let you know when that happens and announce to you. That way you can start using that tool as soon as it's used. So again, coming soon, a blur tool in Screencastify, which I think will be very helpful to somebody that have been asking for such a tool. Which takes us to the final section of, you know, we've worked on recording, we've worked on editing, now it's publishing. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Celia to cover this last section.
Sorry, folks, I forgot to unmute myself. So we have recorded. We have edited what needs to be edited. And now we're ready for some publishing. And so the options for publishing in Screencastify include exporting. So remember that this is an example of the video editor. And so down here on the timeline, it looks like I zoomed in. Down here, I added text. I added text over here. And so, right, maybe I clipped, I trimmed. I'm done with the editing. Once I'm done, I would, from the editor, top right corner, there's an export button. And so exporting just means you're done. And a quick note that you can only work on 1 project at a time in Screencastify. There's no way to like save this, then start something else and get back to the first one. So again, just one of those considerations. Make sure that you keep that in mind. But once you're done, you would click export. You get 2 options under export. You can export it as an MP4 straight to your computer. But we really would recommend that you just export straight to your Google Drive. Again, we have unlimited storage, and it makes everything play nice with the other Google apps. So you have that direct option to just go straight to your Google Drive, and then you don't have to worry about it. Besides exporting, once you're done with the recording, on the right-hand side, you get this. I enlarged it a little bit, but these are the options that you get on the right-hand side after recording. And after recording, it does automatically go into your drive. You can copy links from your Google Drive. I want to call attention, though, to the more options that's just under getting that shareable link. And so even if you do click on that shareable link, you might need to customize the permissions. And so if you click on more options, it'll open these options down here at the bottom. And so I would really recommend that you probably do this as unlisted. Unlisted will make it so that only the people who have the link can view it. And so if you're uploading this somewhere, if you take the link and maybe post it onto Seesaw, because that's what you're using. If you post it into Google Classroom, you have a button for that. But if you need the actual link for something, if you want to send something and share it with parents, you could have it public to lsl.org, but then that restricts to only people at lsl.org. Again, so if you're trying to send this to parents, they're not going to have a domain-specific email. And so if you just have it unlisted, it's not public so that anybody anywhere can find it, but only the people who have the link are going to be able to access it. But it really just depends on like what your purpose is. If there's something that is really only meant for you, well, you can change the privacy settings on there for sure. But again, just check, make sure that you're thinking through where the video is going. Besides sharing, there's also a nifty little option down toward the bottom to export audio only. And so some people have asked about audio only recordings. And so you can use this option to export just the audio. So it doesn't matter what exactly was on your screen or the webcam. You're exporting, but you're only taking the audio. And so if that's what you need, you have that option straight from Screencastify. Just a note that it does export as an MP3 file, but you have that option.
Celia, some people have asked, about that tool specifically because they want to use it in Google Slides now that you can add audio. So there's your answer for those of you that wanted that, ask that question.
Awesome. Let's see.
And it might not have been totally clear what George was saying.
Oh, what you could hear? Gotcha. He said that some people have asked him about that feature because they're trying to import audio to like a Google slide. Now that we have that ability to do that. And in a Google Slides, you can't record straight on there. You have to import audio from somewhere else. And so people have asked, well, like, how do I import audio into a Google Slide? You need to record the audio somehow. This would be an option to get an audio only recording and import to Google Slide, is what I understood.
Thank you, Celia, for clarifying.
Thanks for the tip, Josh. And I think we're getting pretty close to the end. So if there are any questions, send them in now. George will be reviewing the questions and we will get to answering those. But there's one more option that we wanted to call attention to is this last option to export as an animated GIF. And yes, it's GIF, George, just saying. GIFs we've used some GIFs in the presentation and, they're meant to be short, simple animations, like thinking of maybe like you're trying to show students where to click, right? Click here, click there. And you just want to show them the walkthrough of where to go, what it looks like. It needs to be fairly short, simple. If you try exporting as a GIF, but the recording is too large, it may fail to export. So these are some recommendations in terms of resolution and duration that are recommended for GIFs. And so just keep in mind, again, GIFs are meant to be very short, little simple, couple of step things. But if you ever needed to do that, record your own desktop, right? Clicking through whatever you're trying to show students, and export as an animated GIF. And I mean, animated GIFs are kind of cool, so why not? But you have that option. Yay. Q&A time. Actually, while we're looking at those questions, we also should clarify that because we changed the live stream to Friday afternoons, we're going to have to change our office hours for Fridays. And so again, like right now, we're in the middle of the live stream, so we can't be in office hours. And so we're going to change our Friday office hours to Thursday. And so now, starting next week, our office hours will be Wednesday and Thursday from 1 to 3 p.m. We'll make sure we communicate that on the weekly, and but just so you all know, Wednesdays and Thursdays from now on. That being said,
You ready for the first question, Celia?
Jess.
All right, here we go.
George, you're muted. I can only hear you through the door.
Thank you. Here we go. So the question was, should we record our classes with Screencastify or Google Meet recordings? What will Meet recordings function? Well, I think, yeah, it definitely causes confusion. So, you know, remember that when you do a Meet recording, it records what the Meet view looks like. What this allows you to do, what Screencastify allows you to do is, you don't want to record the Meet because perhaps, you don't want to record students, but you want to record the presentation or the content that you're presenting to them. That's what you would record with Screencastify. I think, hopefully that clarifies your question, Sean.
So George, I think you talked about, so back on August 5th, I sent everyone a way to adjust how you record using both grid view and how you set up what you're recording using the Google Meet records. If people need me to resend that, I will be happy to resend that. But Google Meet, for your synchronous live lessons, Google Meet will be your main recording tool. If you have, Screencastify is mostly for asynchronous recording. However, as what George is saying, but it doesn't, Screencastify is not going to be your main recording tool. However, if there are, as George just said, certain pieces or parts of it where maybe student participation is really essential to the activity, but you're also looking at something like a set of slides or a website or something at the same time, and you've already reviewed the procedures that I've put in that email, which I'm happy to forward back to everybody from August 5th. And I believe Rebecca Bishop just told me she also reiterated that email through ATA channels. If you're concerned still about privacy concerns, then as a secondary tool for recording just portions of it, you can use Screencastify. Remember, however, that we record synchronous instruction for students to review and for students who missed it. If you're recording the same lesson or maybe the same 45-minute block and it's in multiple pieces, that might get a little confusing for kids. So again, Google Meet's going to be your main tool, Screencastify for synchronous recording. And it's also because it's built in and it's kind of the easiest one.
Thank you, Josh, for clarifying that.
Sure.
All right, so you ready for the next one? Yes. So the question is, how do you record video without having complete quiet in the room to prevent background? Thank you, Kayla, for sending those in at Creekside. Go Creekside.
I'm not sure if I'm understanding this correctly, but so are we talking about background noise in like your around you or around other students, like houses? If it's around you, what I normally do, like even when like Georgia and I are here in the office and we have other people in the office, it could be as simple as just wearing headphones with a mic. And so, right, the mic will pick up pretty well just you. It might pick up a couple of like off sounds, but it's pretty good at just like getting you, so in case there are other things around you. And in terms of the students, my understanding is that they also received headphones again, in terms of the same line of thinking, like there's only so much we can do in terms of impacting a student's home environment, but like that's a very real challenge. And so I do know that students were supposed to get headphones to try to mitigate those circumstances. So I hope I understood that correctly.
I think you did, Celia. You're absolutely correct. Every student should have received by now a set of headphones with a mic arm on them, which will isolate as much as possible. But, you know, sometimes we kind of have to be like Elsa here and let it go. Not every video we make is gonna be
let it go.
And now a musical interlude from the ed tech department. Is going to be, I don't know what you would call like studio quality sound. It's just not a realistic expectation. And when we think about the context of some of our kids and, you know, living in 1 or 2 bedroom apartments with 7 or 8 other people and other siblings on their own live instruction and remote instruction at the same time, I think, speaking of background noise, I think we're just going to have to accept that sometimes their recordings are going to be a little noisy and sometimes our recordings are going to be a little noisy, and that's okay. We don't need to hold ourselves to any sort of perfection standard. That's not realistic and it's not fair.
Great. Thank you, Josh. Celia, you ready for my next question?
Yes.
All right. There might be an echo because we're not muted. Thank you. All right. So the next question has to do with scissors on Screencastify haven't worked for me. I'm not sure if I need the editor to do that. We do, first of all, that goes for you know, thank you, Mrs. Leon, and anybody else that's running into this. In this last EdTech Weekly, what we've noticed is that some people are possibly logged into Chrome incorrectly, so they're not getting like Seesaw for Schools, or they're not getting the unlimited Screencastify. They're getting the free version, so you may not see some of these options without. So that could be an option. Maybe double check the weekly that we just sent out on Wednesday. There's a video on it that shows you to check how you're logged in and see if that'll fix the problem. If not, you know, go ahead and you know, reach out to us and we could try to you know figure out what's going on with your particular incident. But that could go for anybody that is having trouble with some apps not working the way they're supposed to, or not having access to certain features, especially our district tools like Seesaw, Screencastify, Google Meet. Some of these features that are not working the way they're supposed to, I've discovered in the last week 5 teachers that I've worked with that were logged in incorrectly, were logged in the incorrect way. And once we fixed that, they had access to everything. So hopefully that'll help for anybody else that might not be seeing some of these options. And thank you, Claudia, for taking a side on the GIF and GIF argument.
It's GIF.
The next one, Celia, is...
Well, you're right, Celia, but it's not.
I'm always right, just for the record, everybody.
Is ready, Celia? We don't have much time. Is zooming out as an option already?
So the zoom in option, like for editing, will automatically zoom out when it's done. So again, it like you can set how, let me zoom in here. Oh, except I should share this tab, right? I'm going to zoom in to just show you really quick that I added a zoom edit down here, down to this part. I can adjust how long that zoom, right, happens. But once it's done, so I'm going to play this so you can see it. This shows you like a preview of your edits. And so I'm just going to click in the beginning before the zoom starts. I'm going to click play so I can watch what it actually looks like. And so it zooms in, and when it's done, it'll zoom back out. And then I get the text, look here, and then it keeps going. So there's no zoom out like standalone. You can't zoom out as the only option, but the function of zooming in, see, it zooms in, zooms in, zooms in. It zooms in so much that we only see white because I cropped this video. But once it's done zooming in, it zooms back out. So like that will automatically happen as part of the zoom in feature.
And related to that one, Celia, is since you have a stream open, can you add still images? to the stream down at the bottom where we have the timeline.
To the video?
Yeah.
I don't believe so. I think this is just video. Video editor.
The next question here, sorry about that. We're right. This one has to do with browser tab. Maybe a little bit more explanation regarding when I record using the browser tab, how do I enable the record this tab option as I change tabs to record? I don't see that. I might have to disable it. How can I enable this option? So I believe what they're asking is they've selected a tab they want to record, and then they switch to a different tab. Celia, I have an opinion, but you want to answer that? Or I have a suggestion.
I think I'd be curious to know what the decision is then. If you're going to be switching from tab to tab, then why select tab as your option? Because I think if I were doing this logistically, like how you're saying, like if I select one tab to record, but then I switch tabs, then now I need to find a way to switch that recording to that other tab, I would probably prefer doing a desktop recording. That way I don't have to worry about which tab am I on, which tab am I recording. Wait, I need this tab now. Let me go over here. Let me go over there. So I would be interested in knowing why a tab recording if you're going to be using more than one tab.
I think it would be if you had tab audio on one, like maybe you were going to watch a video on one, but then you wanted to switch over to something else in the same recording. Might be why you would do that.
Okay, in which case I think I would just do two separate recordings. Again, we've shown you how to import and merge and edit. And so do the whatever tab you're going to do with streaming audio, do it as a tab recording so that you get the audio for sure. And then do the other recording separately, right? Stop the audio recording with one tab and then start a second recording with whatever you have, what a presentation, whatever the other media is, and then merge those two together. And just to clarify, we did make it a point to, in the presentation, that in the recording for desktop, I'm going to switch over to the presentation again, because yes, the optimal way to stream audio is a tab recording, but you can still stream audio and have the audio recorded on desktop. But we've noted down here, just make sure you're not wearing headphones because the audio is going to be recorded through your microphone. And so if your computer is playing sound, but if it's really outputting it to your headphones, then there's no way for it to pick up what's playing. And so you could do a desktop recording. Just make sure you're not wearing headphones and that the audio will get recorded. So that's another way to do it if you needed to do that.
Sorry about that. Let's see here. So we have understood. No, it looks like that might be the last question with regards to that specific issue. There's some of you that are kind of asking questions that are more related to me type of stuff. So definitely, please, we will work on answering those one-on-one. I know Josh already started sending some emails to some of you, but you know, the focus of this is just Screencastify. But we can definitely help you with those other needs individually, one-on-one here. Let's see here. I think, Josh, do you see anything else on it? I know you're looking in here also, but I don't see anything.
Kim, who sends us the most delightfully technical questions. We're all laughing because we love you, Kim. We do, but you are the master of very technical hypotheticals. So here's the question as she wrote it. Can you record a Meet with Google Meet and the presentation as a Screencastify tab recording and record both at the same time? The answer is technically yes. And it's not even necessarily terribly difficult to do that. I would definitely suggest that you had the slides. I'm assuming that's what you mean by presentation, that you had the slides in a separate window, a separate Chrome window, so it's broken out and there's no confusion. However, on the MacBook Airs that you have 8 gigabytes of RAM, and running a meet, recording a meet, and recording Screencastify all at the same time would be a challenge for those computers, because that is a very heavy lift for any computer. So can you do it? Yes. Should you? Your mileage may vary.
We don't see, thank you, Josh, for chiming in there. So we want to go ahead and say thank you for those questions that have come in. We will definitely be touching base with those of you that have individual questions or questions related to other of our key tools. So be on the lookout for those. Remember, our office hours have changed. So hopefully, if you will also join us at the new office hours. Anything else before we close? Should I answer that question that I asked earlier?
Yes, you should tell them, you should finish the joke, George. That's only fair.
Okay, and those of you that have watched, what is it, I watched it last night, Raised by Wolves, know this answer. Yeah, know this answer already. So the question was, what did one magnet say to another? And the answer is, the magnet said, when I saw the back of you, I was repulsed. But when you turned around and I saw your front, I was attracted. Anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. They wanted me to say this, by the way, because I've screwed the joke up so many times. And even this time I screwed it up. Sorry about that. That's the end. I'm not George Lopez, the comedian.
So I think we can all agree that the only thing more fun than dad jokes is listening to somebody goof up a dad joke. So thank you, George, for volunteering to do that. We very much appreciate that. In any case, as we say at the end of every live stream, have a great weekend. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other, and be good to our kids. Thank you so much. We've enjoyed this Friday afternoon with you. Hopefully you've enjoyed it as much as we do. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.